Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today we're starting on our indeterminate tomatoes. Now, for me, I have about 100 indeterminate tomato plants out here in the field. Probably, in reality, probably about 90. Okay? I think I planted 100 and 90 of them survived. So I've got about 90 of these to put cages on. Well, this is not an operation that's going to happen in one morning, okay? This is a 2 or 3 day thing for me because I'm just not able to work for 12 hours a day in the heat, okay? This is going to take me hours to do. Now, what's an indeterminate tomato? Well, an indeterminate tomato is a tomato that grows all season long and puts on tomatoes all season long. I'll have tomatoes starting probably at the 1st of July. This is June the something, I don't know, about June the 12th or 13th. And I will have tomatoes starting in July till October, okay? I'll be harvesting tomatoes out of here. The bulk of the crop will come on about August and September. And then I'll still be harvesting tomatoes come October as long as the frost don't hit. As soon as the frost hits, the tomatoes are over. Okay? But that's what indeterminate tomatoes are. Of course, you saw us cage our determinate tomatoes. So now we're caging indeterminates. And what we've got to do, these indeterminate tomatoes, they grow about 10 feet long or 11. Okay? They're great, huge plants. So I use a 5-foot tall cage, and it comes out the top, over, and then down the sides, all the way to the ground. Okay? The first flush of tomatoes come on at the bottom, then the next flush of tomatoes come on the sides as it comes over the top. Okay? So these indeterminate tomatoes, and my varieties are Cherokee Purple, Kellog Breakfast, Cherokee Purple, Kellogg Breakfast, Pink Oxhearts, and Mortgage Lifters. Those are the 4 varieties that I planted this year. I didn't plant my potato leaf variety, yellow tomato. I like those Kellogg's Breakfast better. So that's what I'm planting. So let's get out here. And the first thing I have to do is clear some weeds, and then I've got to put in posts. So I'm going to clear some weeds. You don't need to see that on camera. I'm just going to hoe some weeds, and then I'll put the posts in and explain what I'm doing. That way. Well, can't reach it. Drop the post, I can't bend down there and get it. Okay, every year I just wind this 17 gauge electric fence wire up on these T-posts when I store them. Of course, they've got vines that have been growing in them. Made them a little hard to get out, but I just wind this up and tie it off to itself. Come, open. If you've ever worked with this electric fence wire, you know that it gets stuck together pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is each one of these posts gets 2 strands of this electric wire, one at the top and one about halfway down. So let's go do that. Okay, I'm going to try to get this kind of untangled. It's a tangle every year. Alright, straighten out. So you can just pull through. There we go. Just leave the rest of that hanging. Okay, it doesn't have to be tied. It's not, you're not doing fencing. Okay? Now, some people say, well, I wouldn't fool with untangling all that old electric wire. It'd be such a pain. It is a pain. But it's free. F-R-E-E. Free. It was here on the property, and I pulled it out of an old fence row. It's free. Okay, I'm going to put on the other piece of wire, and then we'll talk a minute. I don't know if you can see them, but right there's my 2 wires. Now you'll see one, show you. One is up here, and one is all the way down here, right there. Why is it like that? Because if you garden, you know that the weeds don't stop just because I killed these weeds today. There'll be more weeds. So down here, if I put a wire down here, it would impede my hoe. Okay? I want to be able to get in here with my hoe and get these weeds out. Be careful not to kill your tomato. There. Now these tomato plants are ready for cages. Okay. Now those 2 posts have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tomatoes on them. Okay. I'm not tying the tomatoes to those wires. Alright, I'm tying the cages to those wires. I'll show you that tomorrow. It's already about 85 degrees out here, or not 85. It's already about 75 degrees and about 80% relative humidity. So I've still got some stuff to do. I'm going to hoe out some more of these and maybe put in a couple more posts, but you've already seen me do that. So you don't need to see that again. Tomorrow, when I come out first thing in the morning, we'll start putting some cages on. And then you'll see the type cage that I use and how I fasten it to that wire. Okay, see you in the morning. Those just anywhere. Well, come on. Morning, folks. It's the next morning. I should probably find a better way to store my cages, but the truth is, if I'm going to store them for a couple of years, I'll lay down a tarp and then set them on it so the grass don't grow up through them, because after a couple of years they'll be full of blackberry briars around here. But if I'm only going to store them over the winter and into the spring, I generally just lay them out in a spot and lay them out, and then if I get them early enough, I don't have to really drag them out of the weeds as bad. But those were pretty tough this morning. I get about 8 on truckloads, all that'll fit in my little Dodge Dakota. So this is how we do them. We just take this cage, it's 18 inches in diameter, okay? We just put it right over the plant. And then I take a cable tie, the cheapest ones I can find. And this one's right at a post, so I'll fasten it right to the post. 1, 2 cable ties is plenty. Two, and that's held solid. Let's do another one. And I'll put a link how you can make these yourself. These are homemade cages. You can see I'm 5'8", and this is how tall they are. Okay, they're just made out of concrete wire. Concrete wire ain't cheap anymore. It used to be like $100 for 150 feet. Now it's like $250 for 150 feet. Okay, you work it around your tomato so that your tomato is not pinched under it. And I like to take and put the wire where there's a cross and up and down of the cage, and just kind of crisscross it. That kind of helps it stay more stable. Okay, and keeps the cage from spinning. There we go. And I don't worry about clipping these ends. It doesn't matter. And again, there's 2 wires here. I've got a wire up here and then a wire down here. And that's it. Those tomatoes are caged. Now they will grow up, and ever so often I'll come through and pull their leaves. They'll start to try and stick their leaves out of the cage, but ever so often I'll come through and pull their leaves up and keep them growing to get them to come out the top of the cage and down, because they'll grow 11 feet long. So I'm going to get it doing this. I'm going to set you where you can see, and we'll get at it. Now, every now and then, one gets bent. I think I ran over this one with a tractor. So I just get out here and push it apart, pull it apart as much as I possibly can. Now, don't worry about it, because the tomatoes will come right up through anyway. Okay? I didn't mean to run over it, but I did. Okay, first truckload of cages are on. I got on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had 7 in the truck. Is that right? Yeah, 7. 7 cages. I can get 7 to 9. Just depends on how they stack in. They'll get stuck in there. So down through here, each set of posts is about 11 to 12 tomato plants. Okay, each set of posts holds up 11 to 12 tomato plants. So if I look down through there, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 12 is 72. Plus, it goes on past the end, and I'll use rebar to hold those tomatoes up. Rebar and cages to hold those tomatoes up. So we're looking at I've only got like 83. I thought I had 90, but there's only like 83 total. So yeah, that's the way it is. My counting is not too good. I'm a math major. I can do multivariable calculus. Well, I'm not a math major, I'm a physics major and chemistry, and I can do multivariable calculus, but I can't add subtract anymore, it appears to be. So I've got 82 or 83 tomato plants down through there. What do I expect out of those? Well, I expect that out of my determinate tomatoes, my aromas, I expect to get somewhere in the neighborhood of a gallon per plant. Okay? A gallon per plant, and there's 28 plants, and I'm going to go down the garden as soon as the next rain's coming. I'm going to go down to the bed and get more plants and put in there. So hopefully we'll have 40 plants or so. And that will be 40 gallons of Roma tomatoes. And then these big tomatoes, I'm expecting probably a gallon a piece. So we're looking at 80 gallons of heirloom tomatoes for the dehydrator in the freezer. Okay, and eating. We will eat a ton of tomatoes. There'll be tomato sandwiches. We'll make our own salsa and chips. Okay, there'll be all of that, and it will be awesome. So now I'm just going to keep doing this. Will I do it all today? No. I've got some other things I need to do. I need to draw my hill for my sweet potatoes. I would like to do my sweet potatoes tomorrow, plant them. So I definitely can't do this and do the sweet potatoes at the same time. Now it'll probably take me, I don't know, 4 or 5 mornings coming out here to stake these 82 tomatoes. Alright? I don't have enough big cages to stake them all. Okay? I think I've got 70 of those 5-foot cages, so I'm going to have to do some things. One of the things that I do is I put a cage here and a cage here, and then there's a tomato in between the 2 cages, and I just take butcher's twine and go in between the cage, and that tomato runs up in between the butcher's twine and the other 2 cages sitting there. So I can get 3 tomatoes on 2 cages. That I do. I have some regular fence wire that I might make some cages out of, because holding them this way, you can use regular fence wire to make your cages. You don't have to have the heavy duty stuff. But if you're going to use a rebar to hold the cage up, you need the heavier duty wire. And the way I do it with rebar is I put a rebar in between the 2 tomatoes, the 2 tomato plants, and then I put 2 cages on it, one on each side, one on this tomato, one on that tomato, and fasten them to the rebar together. So I use 1 piece of rebar, and I've got several pieces. You saw me putting a couple of pieces of 5-foot rebar or 6-foot rebar. No, it's about 5 foot. 5-foot rebar, and I drive it into the ground about 13 inches or 12 or 13, and then I can put my cages on it. Well, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I would like to make some more cages, but the cost of this concrete wire has really went up. I'll find some on eBay or on YouTube Marketplace that somebody's got a half a roll and they want to sell for $50, and I'll jump on it. That way I can make more cages. I'll just do it that way. That thing about homesteading, you do what you can when you can, and then the rest of it has to take care of itself. Okay? And I'm having one of them mornings this morning when I just can't hardly get going. I slept in a little bit later than usual. The sun's already coming up on the garden. Hopefully I'll get 18 or 20 of these staked today, caged today, and then I'll do them as the week goes on. I sharpened my hoe yesterday because I came out here and was using the hoe. You saw that, and boy, it wasn't sharp. So I sharpened my hoe. Your hoe needs to be as sharp as a knife, and I've got it sharpened, and so hoeing will be a whole lot easier. Okay, if you have to dig a lot, hoeing's hard. But if your hoe is good and sharp, I mean good and sharp, then hoeing is kind of fun. You stand straight up and you can easily hoe. You can go back and look at my video about hoeing. But I'm going to put up a video about the tomato cages. I'll put it up here in the little squares and circles that comes up at the end about how I make these cages. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell, it's right up here. It'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And we do some shorts on Fridays too, or Saturdays. Fridays or Saturdays, sometimes we do shorts. So, it's time for me to get on to the next thing. Love y'all.